What is up, guys? Jackson Pios here, PhD and sports nutritionist. Now, in this video, I'm going to review the training of the Z fighters from the Dragon Ball franchise. So let's start with a physique analysis and rating with who other than our commander, Goku. If you're anything like me, Goku probably had the physique that made you thirst like the look of muscle. I had figured out that I liked muscle watching the Frieza saga before school, before I even knew what a dumbbell was. So if we pull up Goku's physique here, we can see immediately that he has extremely well-developed muscle. Coconut shoulders, a barrel chest. He's got decent arms. His biceps are definitely a lot more developed than his triceps, but he pulls it off. We don't get to see much of Goku's legs because they're covered by his gi, but if Bardock's legs are anything to go by, it's safe to say that he's not hiding chicken legs under there. I think the most impressive thing about Goku though is his low level of body fat, i.e. the shreds, while holding this amount of muscle and, as we know, eating basically whatever the hell he wants. It must be nice, Goku. It must be fucking nice. Anyway, because his body fat is so low, we can see deep cuts and separation in basically all of his muscle bellies and really obvious muscle striations that are only visible when body fat is so low. Interestingly, we don't see much vascularity on Goku like we see with Majin Vegeta or Nappa, for example. But I think this actually gives a nice clean look to Goku's physique. Looking here, Goku is sort of the epitome of the physique that's big, but not too big. You know what I mean? I respect the physiques of Broly and Trunks as an ascended Super Saiyan, but girls don't really dig it. It slows you down, and it's pretty hard to find clothes that fit right. Personally, I think Goku could easily turn pro in IFBB men's physique or classic physique if he wanted to. Overall, I give Goku's physique a 9.6 out of 10. There's really no weak points. He's balanced, aesthetic, he's got really good muscle size, and we know that he can perform. So he's ticking all my boxes. Now, let's get on to the training strategies in Dragon Ball. The methods that are used supposedly to build a Saiyan-like physique. First of all, let's discuss Saiyan power, otherwise known as Zenkai. This is the ability for a Saiyan's mind and body to quickly adapt to a stressor or a struggle, allowing them to come back stronger and with better skills to easily overcome it next time. The more severe the damage that they recover from, the bigger the improvements that they will receive. And in Dragon Ball Z, we actually see Vegeta and Goku take advantage of this power to catch up to Frieza. The fighters use Zenkai boosts to power up after near fatal injuries that have taken them to their limit. Funnily enough, Zenkai, or Saiyan power, is actually very similar to how we develop muscle and fitness in the real world. We push to the brink with our weight training with sets that are taken close to failure, or we perform cardio sessions that take our heart rate to near maximum. These training sessions provide a big stress on the body, and the body adapts so that it's more resilient to the stress or stimulus next time, and it does this by making you bigger, stronger, and fitter. Now, another thing that we notice is the Z fighters often train in the hyperbolic time chamber, a place to train in isolation, free from distractions, where 1 year inside is the equivalent to 1 day outside. Basically, the hyperbolic time chamber is just a very extreme athlete training camp. I do believe that we develop our best physique results by going ghost and cutting off distractions and temptations that could potentially derail our progress. Things like parties, social meals, girls. This is also why we see many bodybuilders or combat athletes isolate themselves during contest prep or fight camp. Doing this allows them to have supreme focus on their training and prevents anything from interfering with the process. It makes a whole lot of sense why the Z fighters train in here. It's also quite funny how the 1 year, 1 day thing actually kind of applies in real life. Often you'll be training your ass off and dieting hard for a full year, and it will feel like it's taking so long and like you're not getting any progress. But then you run into a friend that you haven't seen for a little while, and they're shocked with your progress that to them seems like happened in such a short period of time. Next, let's talk about the healing chambers. We see both Goku and Vegeta spend time in the healing chamber or the rejuvenation chamber to recover after some hectic battles. In the real world, I guess we have ice baths and hyperbaric chambers, which are somewhat similar. Ice baths can speed up recovery, but they've also been shown in the research to slow down muscle growth. So a whole lot of ice baths is probably not ideal if you're trying to develop a Saiyan level physique. What is quite similar in the real world is something known as hyperbaric chambers. Now, these chambers involve a changing of air pressure, which increases the amount of oxygen that your blood carries. And this can actually have a positive influence on healing. So maybe what Goku and Vegeta were spending their time in was actually a hyperbaric chamber. The next training strategy we see in Dragon Ball is training with a coach. Almost all of the Z fighters train under a coach, whether that's Roshi, King Kai, Kami, or Whis. I highly recommend all athletes to train under a coach, even if you think you know a lot. The coach will help you to do the things that you wouldn't think of yourself to get the best results out of you. Full disclosure, I must mention that I'm also a coach. Now, our next training strategy from the Dragon Ball franchise is training in weighted clothing. We see a few of the fighters do this, including Goku when he trains with Kami, and Piccolo basically all the time. This training strategy is very similar to the real world strategy used by martial artists, where they will perform their shadow boxing with dumbbells in their hands. Performing the same movements you normally perform, but doing them under load, will over time allow them to feel easier when you go back to training without the weights. We also have research to show that weighted vests are actually a very effective fat loss tool. So potentially, this is one of the secrets to why Goku can stay so shredded all the time. Now, this video wouldn't be complete if we did not discuss the gravity chamber. Basically, Vegeta's home for a while. Also, where we get to see most of the training montages from Goku and Vegeta. We see Goku training with walking lunges, hanging sit-ups, handstand push-ups, among other things. There's a few concepts I want to discuss. Concept 1 is training under load. Muscle growth occurs when you expose the muscle fibers to mechanical tension. However, it can't just be a tiny little bit of tension. The research shows that the tension needs to be equivalent to somewhere near 60% of our 1 rep max. Now, that's pretty heavy. So training in higher gravity actually makes quite a bit of sense. All of the Z fighters' muscle fibers will be exposed to a higher degree of mechanical tension, and this will force the muscle to grow back bigger and stronger. Concept 2 is progressive overload. The weights you bench press during week 1 of your program will not be as effective for muscle growth at week 20 of your program. You will need to go heavier. Why is this? Because our muscles get used to a training stimulus over time. And this is known as the repeated bout effect. So there's a reason why we see Vegeta progressively turning up the gravity during his training. He starts small, his muscles then adapt, and then he increases it further for some continued progressive overload. I swear Vegeta knows more about training than most of my clients. Next up is Senzu Beans, one of the most popular recovery aids seen in Dragon Ball. Gone 12 rounds with Broly? Don't worry. Just have one of these. I couldn't actually really think of anything in real life that's similar to a Senzu bean. Maybe a Jelly Belly, at least they can provide some energy from the quick sugar hit. But after a really hard training session, you're going to want to fuel yourself properly with more than a Jelly Belly. Now, our next training strategy from Dragon Ball is rest. We get to hear Master Roshi drop some mad wisdom about recovery.
Work hard, study well, and eat and sleep plenty. That's the turtle hermit way to learn.
While he might be suggesting this so that he gets some extra time to read his bikini magazines or spy on Bulma's rack, nonetheless, he does say that you shouldn't train all the time. You need to give the body some rest. And he's absolutely right. You need to give the body proper rest for it to be able to build back stronger. This is why I'll rarely have my clients train more than 5 times per week. If you train hard, you need that recovery time. We also see Roshi's knowledge reflected in Goku's approach, where he decides to take some rest before the Cell Games, and we also just see him taking lots of naps after training. Alright, let's boil it down. Is the training we see by the Z fighters accurate for building a physique like Goku's? Probably not. Goku carries a lot of muscle mass. I think people underestimate Goku's size because of how shredded he is. If Goku had a little bit of body fat on him, he would look freaking huge. And the fact is, if the majority of your training is martial arts, sparring, and shadow boxing, like we see in the series, this is just unlikely to build that sort of muscle size. Sure, we see Goku performing things like push-ups and other exercises under load in the gravity chamber, but this actually comprises a very small part of his total training. We also need to keep in mind that it's very difficult to build a heap of muscle mass while also doing a lot of cardio. This is known as the interference effect and has been discussed many times in the research. So why does Goku look the way he does? Well, assuming that Senzu Beans aren't in fact anabolic steroids, I think Goku just has great genetics. It's not too uncommon. If you look at some of the street calisthenics guys, a lot of them just have wacky physiques training with no more than their body weight. And we know from the research that body weight training isn't super effective for developing muscle mass. Genetics play a massive role in muscle growth. Just look at Ronnie Coleman when he won his pro card as a natural bodybuilder. He's still bigger than almost all people that use steroids. If you want to build a physique like Goku's, I would recommend hitting the gym 4 to 5 times per week with a split program, something like push-pull legs rest, push-pull rest. Train all your body parts across a variety of rep ranges, but during your working sets, make sure that you're taking them close to failure. Control your calorie intake to lower your body fat for the Goku shreds, and add some cardio on your rest days if you want to speed up the process. So that's all from today's video, but I'm going to leave you with a quote from Vegeta as he speaks to Cell, which might give us some insights into the secrets of the Z fighters and their physiques. I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. If you did, please subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like me to do another reaction on something, just leave me a comment down below. Peace.
How did you acquire this new strength? Enlighten me.
I do a lot of push-ups and sit-ups, and I drink plenty of juice.